Hello, everyone. First of all, allow me to thank you for the invitation to be with you today, participating at the ICTL 2022, the International Conference on Teaching, Education and Learning. Thanks for the invitation again, which I accepted with great honor. Actually, it is always a pleasure to cooperate with colleagues and friends from Eurasia Research. In this speech, I'll try to demonstrate that digital citizenship education, a lifelong learning model in formal, non-formal, and informal learning contexts is key to empower citizens to critically deal with and combat disinformation. And if you allow me, I'd like to share with you a PowerPoint presentation that I have prepared for this talk, and I hope that it will be useful for you and also, of course, for me, for explaining the main ideas. And starting, I'd like to share that in this speech, accompanied by this PowerPoint presentation, I'll have three essential moments. First, I'll focus on disinformation, setting up the context, its consequences, and possible solutions to tackle it. Then we refer to literacy models aimed to empower digital citizens and to tackle disinformation, such as the ones developed by UNESCO, the European Commission, or the Council of Europe. And finally, I'm going to present the Digital Citizenship Education project developed by the Council of Europe, addressing its dissemination strategy, the DC temple, and finally, I will present some concluding remarks. And to start, allow me to focus on disinformation, the context, the consequences, and possible solutions. And at the very beginning, I would like to focus that we are living in a VUCA society, and the drivers of this society are volatility, uncertainty, complexity, and ambiguity. And this could be a problem, especially when we are living some complicated moments. For instance, going back to the very beginning of this century and especially focusing on the North Hemispherial, we lived a problem in New York in 2001 at the Twin Towers, as you know. Then in 2005, sorry, we had problems in London, and then in Utøya, Norway lived a very complicated situation in this here. Also in Paris, in France, in 2015, after the Charlie Hebdo problem, when some journalists and other media professionals were killed. Then in Barcelona in 2017, some problems occurred in Las Ramblas. And in 2020, we had a global problem, the COVID-19 pandemic, as you know. And currently, Europe and all the world, of course, is living a problem in Ukraine, the war in Ukraine. And this is complicated since this VUCA society has different effects. For instance, we are living times of risks and instability. In some cases, we are assisting to paralysis due to data overload, but also to dualities and unproductivity. And finally, we are living times of doubt and distrust. And this could be really, really complicated since, as Cislavska and Edelstam stated this here, in times of war and conflict, disinformation is often the first weapon to be deployed. And that could be really, really a problem, especially in these times of disinformation. And allow me to share with you what can we understand by disinformation, quoting Claire Wardle.
When you hear the term misinformation, you probably think of the phrase fake news. During the 2016 presidential campaign, the term referred to a specific type of misinformation, made-up stories deliberately designed to look like articles by legitimate news outlets. But the term fake news quickly lost its meaning as it was used more broadly in several misleading ways. For example, politicians around the world started to use fake news to describe coverage that they just didn't like. And soon, the term became so watered down that it lost all meaning.
That's not what I hear on Fox News.
No, it's not.
Fact checked you.
It's not. But since you brought up fake news,
Fake news.
Fake news. Fake news.
In lumping together all manner of misinformation under the term fake news, we also lose out on some important distinctions.
I'm not going to give you a
Can you state categorically?
You are fake news.
I believe that it's time to just stop using this term. So in this lesson, anytime I need to refer to fake news, I'm going to bleep out the word.
And thanks to Claire Wardle, of course, we are not referring to fake news, but to disinformation. And what can we understand by information disorder? First, we have three different subjects here. The first one is disinformation. This is content that is intentionally false and designed to cause harm. Misinformation, on the contrary, is also false content, but the person sharing doesn't realize that it is false or misleading. And finally, Claire Wardle and Hussein Darakhshan understand that there is also malinformation, which is genuine information that is shared with an intent to cause harm. Going back to the organization of this information disorder, according to a document recently published by OECD and developed by Lasher, Pavlak, and Hay, they organized the disinformation typology, having in mind the fabrication, the active fabrication, or the intent or no intent to harm. And regarding the fabrication, have on the top right disinformation, which is misleading information that aims to cause harm and that can be disseminated by the creator or only by the spreader. Propaganda that can include real information or truth information and misleading information at the same time, but it is organized with the intention to cause harm and its active fabrication. What Wardle and Darakhshan consider malinformation, Lasher, Pavlak, and Say on the bottom right understand contextual deception. This is information or misinformation that is not fabricated as information or propaganda, but is disseminated with the intent to cause harm. Misinformation is more or less the same meaning, because it's no intent to harm and it's no active fabrication. It's just shared by some people that are not aware that they are disseminating this information. And finally, on the top left, we have satire, which is fabricated, of course, but with no intent to harm. And why the disinformation works? This is really, really important. It works because of the cognitive drivers and the socio-affective drivers. For instance, on the top right, the illusory truth occurs when the content is familiar to us, when it is fluent, okay, it's understandable and is in line what we understand already, what we believe already. So these false beliefs are true for most people because of these cognitive drivers. But there are also social affective drivers, having in mind Hacker, Lewandowski, Cook, and Hall, and other. For instance, source cues, like when the information comes from an in-group and is very attractive, when it appeals to our emotion or emotional state, and especially when it is in line with our personal views, with our partisanship, political or other. That's why this information really works with us, especially through online social networks. But what are the main consequences of disinformation? The main consequences can be from different orders. They affect memory and decision-making, increasing, for instance, political polarization, provoking distrust in democratic institutions, or lowering responsiveness to global problems such as COVID-19 pandemic. It also exacerbates political or religious persecution, and according to some authors, it really influences elections and referenda results. But how can society tackle disinformation? It is not easy, but we know already that access to accurate, relevant, reliable, and trusted information is key. It's key, at least, to fight this infodemic and to protect people and the societies in which they are living in. Some identified solutions were already published, for instance, for heat in 2021, after literature revision, a systematic literature revision. He pointed supporting external fact-checking is key, such as improving detection technologies and science communication, investing in media literacy practices and projects, passing laws and policies to address emerging challenges. Later, and 2 weeks ago, OECD published a document in which some solutions identified are digital literacy initiatives, content moderation policies developed in a multi-stakeholder process, integrate humans and technology in the fight, increase transparency in spending on political advertisements online, this is key too, and design a measurement agenda to inform targeted policies to stop creators and spreaders. These are 5 identified solutions by Lesher, Pavlak, and Desai in 2022, a few days ago, as I have just mentioned. But they are really related. For instance, supporting fact-checking, it's related with integrate humans and technology in the fight against disinformation. Also, improving detection technologies, software that can identify disinformation, it's important also. Improving science communication and helping people to understand how science works and how important is science and their results. It's key too, as well as investing in media literacy, and this means digital literacy initiatives. We will refer to that in a minute, media literacy and digital literacy. And finally, passing laws and policies is important because it's important to develop content moderation policies, increase transparency, and of course, design a measurement agenda to inform targeted policies to stop creators and also to stop spreaders. So media literacy and digital literacy are key, but are not maybe the solution. They are one dimension of the solution, knowing that this solution passes by a global response. But let's now focus on what can we do through media literacy. And we have different options. But for instance, UNESCO, the European Commission, and the Council of Europe developed very interesting models. For instance, media and information literacy is a curriculum that UNESCO shared in 2021, and that understands media and information literacy as a set of competencies that help people to maximize advantages and minimize harms. So it covers competencies that are key to people engage and critically engage with communications content, the institutions that facilitate this content, and the use of digital technologies. This curriculum has 19 literacy, knowledge, and skills, and 6 values and attitudes. For instance, the 17th, the knowledge and skill, it's apply media information literacy to other forms of social literacy. And regarding the values, for instance, the 25th, sustainable development, solidarity, and peace, but also the 21st, freedom of expression, freedom of information, and freedom of participation. The European Commission also has a model. This model is called Digital Competence. It's one of the 8 key competencies that all citizens should develop lifelong. And this digital competence involves the confident, critical, and responsible use of and engagement with digital technologies. This is key, and this digital competence is organized in 5 different areas that include information and data literacy, communication and collaboration, digital content creation, safety, and finally, problem solving. So we have already seen 2 models, and the third model, it's the model that was developed by the Council of Europe, and the main concept is digital citizenship education, which is related with engaging with technologies in all dimensions, participating actively and responsibly in communities at all levels, being involved in the lifelong learning process, which is, of course, related with defending human rights and human dignity. This model, the base of this model is the Competences for Democratic Culture model developed in 2016 by a group of experts of the Council of Europe. And according to this model that is valid for the online and the offline world, the learner acts by mobilizing values, attitudes, skills, and knowledge and critical understanding. So in each given situation, the action has in mind these 4 areas, and these 4 areas made the competence. This basis, this model is also related with the Digital Citizenship Education model that is organized in 3 areas. In green on top right, we have access and inclusion, learning and creativity, and media and information literacy. So 3 of the main domains are these ones, and one of them is media and information literacy. Then it is also key to develop competencies in areas such as ethics and empathy, health and well-being, e-presence and communications. And then it's important to participate, to exert the rights, and to exert also the responsibilities. So the active participation in the world, the privacy and security, the consumer awareness, and the rights and responsibilities that I have just mentioned. This model is so focused and can be explained through this temple. This temple shows us that digital citizenship education is a multi-stakeholder task. So in down, we have the competencies for democratic culture, and on the top, we have digital citizenship and then digital domains. And to develop this model, we need policies, actors, strategies, infrastructures, and resources, and evaluation, as we are going to see in just a few seconds. So first, allow me to summarize these three models. They are prospective, they are descriptive, not prescriptive. All of them, they are inclusive. They include everyone. They are committed with the sustainable development goals, and they are clearly pointing the importance of media literacy. But allow me now to focus on the digital citizenship education model. This model and this project is being disseminated through a website developed by the Council of Europe, in which you can read more about the background, the activities, the available resources, the produced resources, and also the team that is involved in this project. Now, focus on the temple. The first one is policies. Okay, and policies at this area, the Council of Europe has several recommendations, but one of these recommendations is really important, is the recommendation signed by the Committee of Ministers in 2019, which is a recommendation of the Committee on Developing and Promoting Digital Citizenship Education. Its main aim is to help member states to plan and to implement digital citizenship education at the policy level. Then the actors that should be involved in this project, in digital citizenship education projects, and which projects are the most important ones. This information was organized in 2017 in two handbooks. First one, Digital Citizenship Education Overview and New Perspectives, and the second one is focused on the multi-stakeholder consultation report. Then strategies. These strategies come from the reference framework of competences for democratic culture, but they are extremely valuable for the digital citizenship education too. So this book, the volume 3, explains the planning principles and the methods, and some of these methods that are key to implement competences for democratic culture and digital citizenship education are modeling democratic attitudes and behaviors, democratic processes in the training, cooperative learning, project-based learning, service learning. These are methods that are highly recommended by the Council of Europe and by its experts. Regarding resources, the Council of Europe produced a digital citizenship education handbook for learners, for teachers. It also produced the digital citizenship education trainers pack for trainers. And this is really important because it gives clues about implementation, about assessment too. And focusing now on assessment, on evaluation, but especially on assessment principles, it is important to implement assessment principles that respect the learner. It is important that these assessment tools are based on validity, reliability, equity, transparency and practicality, and of course, respectful. Concluding, allow me to conclude explaining that if we are living in a VUCA society, what should we do then? So this society is very demanding, and we should have a vision and take action. We should understand the others' perspectives and being at the same time flexible and creative, but also agile, and being able to take decisions, to being prepared for decision making. And so, just to conclude, allow me to say that laws and policies, fact-checking initiatives, innovative detection technologies are key to protect citizens. To protect from, for instance, the consequences of disinformation. But digital citizenship education is key to empower citizens to critically deal with and to combat disinformation. So it is key that the projects and activities related with digital citizenship education have always in mind three aspects. First, the holistic learning, having in mind the whole person, the context of everyday experiences, the interdisciplinarity, and multilingual. They should follow the whole school approach involving everyone from the school community and from the local community, because it's key to change the school culture so that the diversity and mutual understanding between cultures is at the heart of all aspects of school life. And finally, it's important. We are living in a VUCA society, and it's important to take action. We know that one learns digital citizenship, living digital citizenship. And so it is crucial to involve from literate users to fluent users who are safe, savvy, and social learners that are able to analyze, evaluate, create, and apply when they learn. And this was my talk for today. I hope that you could understand, and it was a pleasure to share these ideas with you. And of course, I will be available to answer to your questions as soon as I have access to them. Thank you very much again, and please take care.